features in-depth interviews with Revend Sharpton and never-before-seen footage. The documentary premiered and sold out as the closing film at the Tribeca Film Festival last June, and the film was written, directed, and produced by Josh Alexander, as well as produced by Daniel J. Chalfin, Mike Jackson, and Kedar Massenberg. Congratulations, Senator Warnock. Congratulations to U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock, who won re-election on last Tuesday as the senior pastor. King served as co-pastor. We forward to working closely with Senator Warnock in the month and years ahead. Save the date. NAN's National Convention. NAN's National Convention will take place on, write this down, April 5th through 9th, 2023. Please save the date. Well, welcome to all of you who have tuned in and joined us. Also via live stream at www.National Action Network and also live on Facebook at National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us or if you're not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get into the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit us again at www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call 877-626-4651. Again, that number is 877-626-4651, or just text the word NAN, N-A-N, to 59769. Welcome.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ponder. You know, as we said, brothers and sisters, our dear brother and congressman, the new leader of the House Democrats, will be here, and we have a number of his colleagues across the state that will be here also, and we're pleased to have right now to come up and speak to us is Assembly Member Edward Gibbs. He represents the 68th District in the Great Borough of Manhattan.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Good morning, Nan. We could do better than that. There's about 150 of us in here. Good morning, Nan. It's certainly a pleasure to be here this morning with the great Revend AL Sharpton and family and members. It's just a great day to be joined by our Congress member, Charles Rangel, and my auntie, Inez Dakins. I'm just excited to get this day started and see what thus says the Lord. Amen. You have a good day and let's enjoy.
All right. I'm going to bring up our dear sister. She represents this great village of Harlem. She's a stalwart. She is always present, always on the job, and always doing the right thing. That's our dear sister and represents the 70th Assembly District in the village of Harlem, Assembly Member Inez E. Dickens.
Good morning, family. Good morning. Good morning, Harlem. That's what we talk about. Harlem in the house? Yeah. Harlem in the house? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, because this is a great day. We are here first to give gratitude to God. We also are very pleased to see that the movie, the story of Revend AL Sharpton will be told for the world to see, not just New York, but the entire world to see what he has done, what he has suffered, what he has brought, the plan that he has, and the future he has planned for all of us. So give it up that someone had the knowledge, the fortitude to see to it that his story was told, which is our story. I want to acknowledge my Congressman Charles Rangel, who has been the lion. And of course, we've been joined also by Londell Davis, the state committee person from this area who was elected. But today, we're celebrating Reverend Senator Warnock, because he beat the heck out of the Republican Party. He stood up, and everybody stood up for what was right, not just for some idiot that was running that said that they were happy to be a coon. You know, come on. That was a negative term that was put upon us for generations. And for this man to stand up and tell us, our youth, our future, that it's all right to be called a coon, then you know we had to fight him down, push him down, put him under the ground so that he never resurrects again to dare run for public office. But also today we're going to greet right from New York City. He is from Brooklyn, so that's okay. Harlem ain't mad at that. You know, we ain't mad at that. We happy about that. That we've got Hakeem Jeffries, a minority leader in the House of Representatives, to be here with us this morning. It is so great and wonderful that we are getting in these leadership positions. But in leadership, we've got to be able to benefit from it. All of us. That doesn't mean individually that I'm going to benefit, or that you're going to benefit, or that he's going to benefit, or she's going to benefit. It means that the nation, black people, will benefit from being in leadership. Now that means we can't be mad because I didn't get it or you didn't get it. It means we stand up and say thank you, because without being in leadership you get nothing. Without unity you're torn apart. I keep telling the village, one finger gets you nothing but turning a piece of paper. You put five together, you got a fist, and that means in that fist, in that unity, we win. So y'all, when he comes in, we gonna give him a rousing show of support, because we're so happy to be in this leadership position like we've never been before in the history of the United States. And family, it comes from Harlem, it comes from Brooklyn, it comes from the Bronx, it comes from Queens, and maybe some of Staten Island. You know, I mean, it is what it is, you know. But really today also, I want to thank all of you for the support that you've rendered all of us over the years, not just today and yesterday, but over the years. I want to thank you. I want to show that I am grateful to you for showing support for the village of Harlem. You have stood together, united, and in November, this district was the second highest assembly district in the city of New York to win votes for Governor Hochul. So I want you to know this district was the second highest in the entire city of New York. So that means Harlem, you rock. Y'all rocked. Everybody came out and said we will not have a Trump candidate as governor for the state of New York. Because if New York City doesn't stand up, we very well could be a pink state. Notice I said pink, hopefully not red. But I want to wish you a blessed Kwanzaa, a very Merry Christmas, a blessed Hanukkah. I want to wish the very best that we come out of this pandemic, because it seems to be on the rise again. I want to remind you to please get vaccinated. Wear your masks inside of a room. Wear your masks. Because we've got some, I don't even know the initials, RSV, VUS, something that's coming up. I can't, all these initials, COVID, everything, I can't remember all of that stuff. But there's something coming up that affects our lungs. And we already suffer with problems with our lungs. We've got asthma, we've got heart trouble, we've got diabetes, all that we've got hypertension that impacts upon our communities of color. So we've got to be able to protect ourselves. I wish you the very best for the new year. We've got a heck of a 2023 coming up. We've got a very important city council race that we've got to fight for, that we've got to maintain, because we're not going to let anybody come in from the outside and dictate what we want. Those of us that live here, work here, have been here over the years, have raised our children, have been with our grandparents, no one's going to come in and dictate what's going to happen in an election in Harlem. Is that right, Harlem? You're going to hold it down. Come on, tell me you're going to hold it down. Let me hear you say you're going to hold it down. Hold it down. Hold it down. Hold it down. This is Harlem, and we're going to stand united. God bless, and thank you.
All right. Want to thank Assembly Member Inez Dickens, and again for all the work that she does in our community. Right now, brothers and sisters, our dear sister Katrina Jefferson, she's the coordinator of all things here at National Action Network's House of Justice, and also liaison to the president, is going to ask, what's on your mind?
Good morning, Attorney Hardy, and good morning to each and every one of you who are live here at the House of Justice. To those that are watching by way of live streaming on our Facebook pages and our website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and to those that are listening by way of WLIV 1190 AM, welcome to another brief conversation of What's on Your Mind, where you, the people, you, the community, have the opportunity to interact with the National Action Network 24 hours a day by emailing us at What's on Your Mind at nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is What's on Your Mind at nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. All right, we're going to direct it right to two emails. I'm sorry, ladies in line, but in consideration of today's program, we're going to keep it brief to the emails only. All right, first coming from Althea Aaron, and the subject is the opportunity to celebrate my leader. That which is on my mind today is a wonderful time I had at the movies yesterday in celebration of our magnanimous civil rights leader, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. The excellently done documentary film showcased an array of clips beautifully woven together to remind us of the reason we fight. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you, not only to Revend Al, but to all who worked tirelessly to provide us with this important historical work that puts into perspective the desperate passion, the very motivation to be a loudmouth over the course of 5 decades. As is often my habit, I remained in the theater until the last credit is rolled. Kudos and hugs to Sister Ashley for her important role with the archives. I'm quite that she and her sister made sure that the director got the message of tell it right. I was delighted to actually see and hear the voice of Mother often referred to by Revend Al. But my main joy emanated from the realization that this film allows the world to give Revend Al his roses while he is alive to smell them. He is a living legend among us, and I am happy to be among those who have the awesome opportunity to be a part of the National Action Network. Knowing the history of the term, no justice, no peace, gives it a renewed meaning for me. Now, when I utter those words, I will know the tall shoulders upon which I proudly stand. Let's continue to pray for our Reverend Al and the village he has generated. Continued blessings to his family. Thank you, Reverend Al, for your life work. We, our community, our society, and our world are made better for it. No justice, no peace. And that was submitted by Women's Auxiliary Member, Mrs. Althea Aaron. All right, the next is coming from Rodney Jones. Subject is the Black Art, and Rodney's out of Queens, New York. The Black Art Depot was founded in 2004 in Atlanta, Georgia by Kani Saburi Ayubu. Our goal is to be the #1 supplier of African American arts, gifts, collectibles, and African decor in the world. We believe that our products can be used as a tool to turn houses into homes, to motivate and inspire lost souls, and to bring happiness into the hearts of others. When you shop with the Black Art Depot, you are purchasing from a company that not only sells arts, gifts, and collectibles, but also values and appreciates all that they represent and understands the many ways these items can be used to improve the lives of our real customers. As a proud 100% minority-owned and operated business, we believe in giving back to the community, and our company and staff financially support and are active in a variety of community-focused organizations and initiatives. Please feel confident that when you shop with the Black Art Depot, you are purchasing from a high-integrity organization that views our customers as extended family, believes believes in exceeding the expectation of our customers and strives to ensure that our customers receive the highest level of service at all times. We are active members of the Georgia Black Chamber of Commerce, Greater Durham Black Chamber of Commerce, and the Better Business Bureau of Atlanta, Georgia. Let us help you turn your house into a home today. On a personal note, Rodney purchases from the Black Art Depot all year round, so it's imperative for us to buy black, especially during the holiday season. Go to theblackartdepot.com. No justice, no peace. And that concludes this weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind. Keep in mind everything that you heard here were simply the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network directly. And you can interact with us 24 hours a day by emailing us at What's on Your Mind at nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is what's on your mind at nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. Back to you, Attorney Hardy.
All right, thank you so much for What's on Your Mind, Katrina Jefferson. Right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to go up into the boogie down Bronx because we have the borough president of that great borough. Lots going on there. Our dear sister, the borough president of the Bronx, Vanessa Gibson.
Hey everyone, peace and blessings. House of Justice, make some noise. I am so grateful to be here. To God be all the glory. To all of my incredible colleagues in government, I want to recognize our Congressman Charlie Rango, our Assembly Member Inez Dickens, Assembly Member Eddie Gibbs, and I know we'll be joined by other elected officials, but I am proud to be here at the House of Justice. I am Bronx Borough President Vanessa L. Gibson, history maker, the first African American and the first female ever elected to serve as Bronx Borough President. Honored, so grateful to Revend AL Sharpton, to all of my friends that represent the National Action Network, Sister Ashley, Sister Dominique, Sister Rachel, Brother Derek, Attorney Michael Hardy, to each and every one of you that allow us to be in this space every Saturday. To God be all the glory. We are so grateful to be here, another day that God has blessed us with, and I'm always grateful to be here with Reverend Al. I first and foremost want to recognize our leader, Reverend AL Sharpton, on the release of his documentary, affectionately called Loudmouth, right? We all loudmouths. You got to make some good trouble. But this has been a good week. This has been a good week for us across this country. Is released and free. To God be all the glory. This black woman that was persecuted in Russia, and we saw in Georgia. What happened in Georgia? Reverend Raphael Warnock won his re-election as U.S. Senator of Georgia. Many of us were down there to make sure that someone like a Herschel Walker could never grace the United States Senate. And then, what do we also have in the House of Representatives? We made history with our brother, our beloved Congressman of Brooklyn and Queens, Hakeem Jeffries, the first African American elected as a leader of a major party in the House. Our brother. We are so excited. It's been a great week, but we know despite all that, we still have a lot of challenges. It's the holiday season. So many. help, and guess what? It's up to all of us. We have to realize the purpose that we have been given to use our blessings. Children have access to quality schools, and our families have good paying jobs for every single day. And so I just want to thank all of you because our work is not done. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? For many are called, but few are chosen. We have been chosen for this moment. And I remind all of you, my brothers and sisters, no matter what title you have in front of your name, you have a collective responsibility to help someone else. This has been a challenging time. I'm coming up on a year of serving as the Bronx Borough President. And it doesn't get lost on me that not only have I made history, but I've made it easier for the next borough president that's coming behind me. Another person of color, another female, to make sure that we elevate women in spaces that we have never been. We create these spaces for our young girls and boys to rise up and be the kings and queens that God has ordained for them to be. And so I'm grateful, and I want to say to all of you, keep up the fight. Stand tall, stand firm. Don't lose sight of what is important. Don't get distracted. The holiday seasons are here. We need to make sure we're out there giving out toys, giving out food, giving out clothing, and letting our people know that when times are tough, we step up. No one is going to save us but us. And so we need to recognize that in all the spaces and all the work we do. So again, my love to all of you. The village of Harlem has always been good to me, and I know we got some Bronxites up in here too. Whether you're here or you're watching, it's an honor to be your borough fighting for our people, for prosperity, for economic opportunity, to make sure that we are the ones that save ourselves. Because at the end of the day, when we work together, we are unstoppable. Happy Saturday. God bless you all.
That was our Bronx Borough President, Sister Vanessa Gibson. Right now, brothers and sisters, come back to the great village of Harlem. She is the senator of the 30th Senate District, and she's coming right now. Senator Cordell Clear.
Yes, good morning, House of Justice. That's a tough act to follow, but I'm here today grateful always for this institution, always for the work that you do, because none of us do this alone. And we need every single voice. We need every type of across this country, because there is an attack on us. And we're happy now that we have the victory in Georgia, but we can't stop there. There is a lot of work to be done, a lot of work to be done. So I'm just grateful today that I have a House of Justice, that I have the partners that are here. Those who came before me, our Congressman Charles Rangel. We have our Assemblywoman Inez Dickens, our Borough President from the Bronx, Assemblyman Eddie Gibbs. I think I see our former Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz in the audience. Yeah, you know, none of us are going to do it alone and do it together. The foundation was laid. For me, I'm laying the foundation for those. You're always being here, always being on the issue. Thank you for your great leader, Revend AL Sharpton, who has been a leader all my life. And I'm happy that he's here now and I can serve. So I just thank all of you and have a great Saturday.
All right, brothers and sisters. Well, you know it's Saturday, which means our musical director, leader of the Change Choir, is in the house, Minister Tyrone Richardson. And we're going to have right now one of our soloists from the Change Choir, our sister Tisha Hunter.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Amen. How many know God to be a way maker this morning? Light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here. Listen. Turning lives around. And I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart, and I worship you. Lord, I worship you. You are a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Lord, you are a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. A way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper. You are the light. You are the light. You are the light. You are the light. In the darkness, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Yeah, a waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper. He is the light in the darkness. That is who you are. One more time. Waymaker, miracle worker, you are a promise keeper. You're the light in the darkness. That is who you are. Give him a praise.
That was Tisha Hunter of the Change Choir, all under the direction of our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. Right now, brothers and sisters, I want you to get on your feet because he's a legend in our times. He's the honorable former congressman of this district, the Honorable Charles.
God is good. I was sitting out here, God has allowed us to come together and have the also coming from the national scene, Hakeem Jefferson, who's done so much, fought so many battles, and now the whole world will be able to see what he has been doing. Mike, you know, there's so many people that make it possible for us to keep moving forward. Killed to the fact that even in this great country, we have the depth of race white sheets anymore. have is remarkable, and be as dumb as Walker was and have wifely. But as we conclude this, is that any group of people that on a Saturday that can have a leader that when he says meet me in any major, people are there, not talking about walking that walk, and that he has the power any place, not to come out, but say he's thinking about it, to make changes. This couldn't be possible if it wasn't for those of you that are sitting here this Saturday morning. There are people in your families, people in your building, in your block, in your community that don't know the power that you have. As Assemblywoman Inez Dickens said, it is not the individual, it's the power of working together collectively that makes the difference as to what can be accomplished. So I hope that for this New Year's, you are able to go out, leave this place, this institution, and be able to say that you are somebody, not individually, but because you come here to the House of Justice, because people know who you are, and because for the first time in these United States, anybody that's subjected to police brutality or injustices, they don't have to get a lawyer. All they have to do is say, I know Reverend Al. God bless you, and please let me thank you for allowing me to serve this wonderful village for 50 years. When I dropped out of school in 1947, I had no idea where I was going. They had me fighting people I'd never seen in Korea. But I came back home and Lennox Avenue picked me up, and I haven't looked back since. God bless you.
That is the Lion. Of Lennox Avenue, Representative Charles B. Rangel. Brothers and sisters, we are again pleased to have with us. He's our dear brother. He's of Manhattan, the county of New York, and he's going to come to you right now.
And always give respect. What a week. The congressman was talking about it down in Georgia. They claim Reverend Warnock. We know it is so great on a week like this to make our way here. I wanted to say a couple of things about our minority leader who I hear will be joining us. I want to speak first as a 49-year-old black man. We talk about, mentorship and looking at what you can see. And usually we think about little kids looking up to grown-ups. So I first learned of our minority leader when he came out of law school, and he worked side by side with a friend of mine. Then he went into private practice, worked with another dear friend of mine. And then, as many of you know, went on to really shape and work with the late, great Ken Thompson. And it would not be exaggeration to say, I don't think I'd run for office unless I could visualize that and see that in his person. So I really just wanted to emphasize that as we talk about, and we're always going to look behind, and Reverend Sharpton has emphasized that
We should be looking to our youth, mentoring them. But what the impact we have on each other as peers is profound. So I wanted to salute him and thank him for his leadership and his consistency over the years. And then as your district attorney, I want to tell you how important this is, because we need help from DC, right? We see what the Supreme Court did earlier this year to our state gun law, and then we had our great leaders in Albany respond to that with legislation and law that we're going to be enforcing at the local level. But we need leadership like Hakeem Jeffries in Washington, down in Manhattan, down further than the citywide, but we have so much more work to do in that pack disparity and leading there. We also know he's been pushing the next step after the first step, which Revend Sharpton talks about. Yeah, let's clap for that. So I'm just so happy to come by here. But other than that, we'll show him a little Harlem love today, and I'm blessed and fortunate.
All right. All right, brothers and sisters, we're going to go to Brooklyn. And we are pleased today that we have for our inspirational word segment. He's the senior pastor of the great and historic Bethany Baptist Church in the borough of Brooklyn, and he is the Reverend Adolphus Lacey.
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? I know I'm in Harlem, but I'm safe. I got a passport because I'm the pastor of the Rev, who's from Brooklyn. But it's always good to be in Harlem. No justice? No justice? What do we want? When do we want it? It is certainly a good thing to give thanks unto the name of the Lord to even be here. We're thankful for our leader, the loudmouth. I love that when you can embrace the aspect of what it means. And that's what the Bible says, cry loud and spare not. And that's what Dr. Sharpton has been doing since the day he was born. He's been crying since the doctor hit him. So we're certainly glad to be able to be here and celebrate my brother from Brooklyn, to be able to be his escort, Hakeem Jeffries of the 8th Congressional District, part of Shirley Chisholm's district, and we certainly thank for the history and legacy of that. He's also part of that great noble clan, Kappa Alpha Psi, and so we certainly, yes indeed, we certainly thankful. But my job is, they told me I got just a few minutes. I was going to give you 3 points, but now I'm going to give you 2. If you want a Sunday morning to be here in this place. But watch this, nestled in the 4th chapter, the 4th verse of the book of Galatians is these words. But when the right time came, God sent his son, born of a woman, subject to the law. And you all have heard it this way, but when the fullness of time came, God, and the proper time had fully come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, the regulations of the law. But when the time arrived, that was set by God, the Father, God sent his son born among us. A woman born under the conditions. Hey, I just want to talk about, and the wonderful thing about us as people, in a real sense, we embody the best and the worst of us. I know I'm right that when you see that something gruesome happened, don't you say, I hope this person is not a, am I right about it? Oh, please, Lord, don't let it be. But also, we embody the best of us. And so in this message, when I say it's your time, I'm not just talking about Hakeem, I'm talking about you. We're in the Advent season where we are expecting something. And so, beloved, I stopped by the house of justice to remind you that today it's your time. Here in the book of Galatians, the people had been misled into believing that they could earn something based upon themselves, not understanding what the fullness of grace is all about. Because if you live in this world long enough, you know that you can't get here by yourself. You know that somebody had to help you. There had to be some type of grace along the way. And in order for us to exercise grace, we have to know how to exercise our faith. And again, we look at these job reports, and I see these job reports, and sometimes they say it's a negative when the numbers go up. But the thing that I want you to know is that your faith needs a job. Faith without work. And so just like you take a measuring tape, in order to measure something, you got to hook it onto something and be able to push forth. And that's what I want to remind you this morning. Your faith needs a job. Your faith needs something to hang on to believe that there is going to be more than this. It's useless unless it's pulling upon something. So 2 points. I told you. Third point, you got to come to Bethany Baptist Church, Brooklyn, New York. First point is that we are now in a time to leave restriction. A time to leave restriction. The thing I love about our text, beloved, and I know you all are wonderful Bible believers, and you talk about it at the club, you talk about it when you're playing pool, you talk about it at Thanksgiving and Christmas, you know you talk about it, but there's a powerful word, it's called but. See, this text begins, but in the fullness of time. Because what it's trying to say is everything that happened before don't count anymore. I wish I had some people who need a but in their life. I ain't talking about doing the but or a big but. I'm talking about a divine but. Stuff was bad and I was doomed for destruction, but God stepped in. I was sick and ready to die, but God stepped in. We were losing the election, but we won. I wish I had a witness this morning, House of Justice. But marks a divine answer, and every day you get up, you remind everybody that but for the sake of God. What he's saying, in the fullness of time. And what that means is God's been taking time to get me ready. Now let me pause before you get too excited, because there's a difference between rotting and ripening. Slow down, I'm country from Kansas. There's a difference between rotting and ripening. See, some of us, just because we stay longer, just because you stay on the battlefield don't mean you prepared. What's wrong in many of our organizations that people stay too long and they begin to rot. Are you aware that the oldest deliberative body in the United States in the world is the United States Senate, where people have stayed too long? I wish I had a witness this morning to know when you stay too long, when you need somebody to be able to help you with something along the way. But I'm glad that in this body that they have decided to be able to allow some new voices, such as Hakeem Jeffries, to be able to step up. And what's happening, instead of rotting, he's ripening, and he's ripe on the vine. I wish I had somebody from the island to know what it's like to have a mango that is ripe, that it begins to ooze when you begin to eat and taste of it, because it tastes so powerful. It's a time of restriction to leave that alone, and it's a time of revelation.
because it's not accidental, it's intentional. The text says, in the fullness of time, when it got right, God sent his son. When it got right, when it got dark, when we gave up hope, God sent us a son from Brooklyn, to be able to make a difference, to be able to stand on the wall, to be able to call it out. And I'm so glad that whatever is good for my brother is good for me too. Embrace your season and recognize that indeed it is your time.
The Reverend Dr. Adolphus Lacey, Senior Pastor of the historic Bethany Baptist Church in the great borough of Brooklyn. Right now, brothers and sisters, I want you to get on your feet and give a big welcome to the President and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. No justice! No justice! No justice! What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? 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 Fist bump the person next to you, tell him you love him. Over 50 years ago, young boy was born in Savannah, Georgia, youngest of his family. And he came up in the rough, segregated South. But he was young enough that by the time of school age, he was able to go and get a good education. Came to New York, went to seminary, worked in the community trying to deal with hunger and deal with housing. When we went to protest the police killing of Amadou Diallo, where we went to jail every day for 11 days at one police plaza,
Charlie Rangel went to jail with us. Went to jail with us, a minister in seminary. But he never gave up. He never backed down. And on this week, he won the runoff to be reelected to the U.S. Senate. Give up. Your change will come. Younger than us, but a strong young advocate. I met when he was a youngster. For me, a youngster, he's young, wanted to be in the state assembly, wanted to go up to Albany and hang out with Revend Diaz and them. He was a lawyer. He ran the first time and lost, came back again. But it was something, you know, there's this saying that still water runs deep. He was not as verbose as some. He said, I'm an activist that want to get things done. I'm not here to fire you up. I'm here to make sure that the fire is there that gets things done. And he went on from the assembly to Congress. And he kept being able to reach out to people of all political backgrounds. And in the end, history shifted. Because in the halls of Congress that seen great men and women, Shirley Chisholm, Adam Powell, Charlie Rangel, we've never seen one chair the Democratic caucus of the U.S. Congress. He never gave up, never shamed us, never made us say, I wish he had done that. And he's the chair of the Democratic caucus of the U.S. Congress. Your change will come. Change choir, give them a hand. Give them a big hand. All right. Let me welcome you for another Saturday morning rally at the Saturday Action Rally at National Action Network. For you that are here in the auditorium and you that are listening live on 1190 WLIP AM in New York, and you that are watching and listening on our platforms around the country, we want to thank you for joining us another Saturday morning where we give our report on where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy. And to our inspirational speaker, my pastor at Bethany Baptist Church, Reverend Dr. Adolphus Lacey. And let me thank all of you. First and foremost, let me thank all of you. Last night, 122 theaters around the country started showing Loudmouth. And I want to thank Mayor Eric Adams, came and opened it in Harlem. And we get reports from all over our chapters around the country of the turnout. And it will be in theaters for the next several weeks as people support it. John Legend, the singer and his company, and Kadar Massenberg did a job bringing it back all the way back to I was a teenager, and showing the archival footage of this movement, where we went, when I was stabbed, when we faced all kinds of issues from Howard Beach on. And I think it was wonderful that all of us supported. You know, one of the things that I was saying to one of the interviewers is that we are only the second generation of civil rights leaders that had to learn how to get older. Reverend Jackson and Reverend Jones, who mentored me, their heroes and people ahead of them all got killed before they was 40. Martin Luther King, Jesse told me one day, he said, I never planned to get old because the folk I looked up to never got old. I woke up one day, I was 55 years old, I said, now what I do? He said, you're fortunate enough, Al, that you can watch us get old. John Lewis and him, they were all 15 years or more older than me. So you can watch us get old and know what to do or what not to do. Which is why, as I got older, I got slimmer and started. I learned how to get old. And Charlie Rangel's in his 90s, so I got the best example how to get old and how to stay around a long time. But that's what this movie's about continuity. One of the things that you don't do, I do not believe in folks that's not a continuation of things ahead of them. Because God does not deal in confusion, he deals in continuity. Every season follows the next season. And we like these 90-day wonders, and we wonder where they come from. Let me also say that we are very, very happy for you that supported and stood with the turnout in Georgia. You that are watching us, the election of Senator Warnock. Senator Warnock, the first time he went to jail for civil rights was right here with us on Diallo. And I remember there was a case of Troy Davis, who was on death row. And he and I went and had prayer with Troy Davis there in Georgia. And so we had a relationship with him and watched this race. And, I'm not going to say too much about his opponent because I got the leader here and I don't want that to be the story. But just pray for Herschel. Just pray for him. But I'm glad my senator here in the Harlem, State Senator Cordell Clear. She was here with us on Thanksgiving Day, wasn't properly introduced. This is our district. Y'all send us some respect. And of course, we've heard from Eddie Gibbs. Where is it? All right. And Eddie Gibbs and a member of our national board now, who is really coming with both feet and both hands. He's the former board president of the Bronx. He's the big boss at Montefiore now, Brother Revend Diaz. Revend Diaz, give a hand, Sister Sutton. Keisha Sutton. There is always more than one way to do things if you're going to be able to achieve something. We have choir here. Everybody don't sing the same. Some are soprano, some are alto, some are bass, some are tenor. Some can't sing, they just move their lips. But it takes all of that to make a choir. A movement for social change, justice empowerment needs people that do different things toward the same goals. Don't forget how we had Martin Luther King in the South, we had Malcolm in the North, we had Adam Powell in Congress, we had Thurgood Marshall on the Supreme Court, all at the same time. This before there was social media. We had all these people playing 21st century with all these different ways of doing things and act like it came but one black guy talk at a time. I met Hakeem Jeffries when he was a young lawyer aspiring to go into politics. And he was always very candid and open. He would always say to me, I'm going to get things done. I'm not the guy, Reverend, to go lay in front of a barricade, but I'm the guy that will help change the for. I'm the one that believes that there is a way to reach out to people that are against us so that we can get something done. Ran for the Assembly, went on to Congress. There's never been a battle that he did not help. And I remember when they came in the Trump age with First Step, and they was all calling. And Cory Booker and others were saying that, I'm not going to talk to Jericho. And one of them, Cory, said, let Hakeem call Sharpton. And Hakeem called me and said, I'm not asking you to come to the White House. You ain't got to stand there with Trump. But this is what it'll do for our people. I said, it'll do all of that. Because of him. Because those of us in the civil rights community, and specifically Nan, that he had a guy that never lost his roots. Not only is he a committed position that a black never had, he's a family man, he's a member and pays his tithes. Pastor was here last week, and he's a Brooklyn bred, born, and faithful to his district. It is our honor. When I call him, I say, you know, we need to honor you back at home in the city of New York, or what you did. He said, well, y'all ain't got to do that. I said, no, we need to do that. He said, well, I've got a commitment. I can't break out of town next week. I'll be at the rally next Saturday. He didn't know I was going to have everybody up here because he probably wouldn't have come. He ain't like that. He don't want all of that. But I felt that his hometown ought to salute the first person black to become the head of the Democratic caucus in the United States Congress, our own Congressman Hakeem Jeffries.
God is good. God is good. God is good. And all the time. What an honor and a blessing to be here at the National Action Network, to be back home with all of you, with my distinguished colleagues in government, of course, the great Charlie Rangel. I stand on his shoulders. So thankful to have learned and benefited from, of course, the current borough president, the former borough president. That's one of my close friends in politics, y'all. Revend Diaz Jr. We served in the assembly together, DA, all of council members and members of state legislature, and of course, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. We know one of his early mentors, and it said about James Brown that he was the hardest working man in show business. But I'm thankful that year after year, decade after decade, laboring in the vineyards of our community, it can be said without a doubt that Al Sharpton has been the hardest working man in the people's business. And we're so thankful for him. Al Sharpton, a civil rights champion, a voice for the voiceless, a defender of the disenfranchised, a powerful, profound, prophetic, principled preacher and man of the people. We're so thankful for him. And on top of all of that, he's from my hometown. He's from my hometown. Now you know Brooklyn. I know I'm in Harlem, y'all, but he's from my hometown, and you know Brooklyn has given the world many things. I'm gonna just give you a brief list. We've given the world many things. We gave the world Shirley Chisholm. We gave the world Jackie Robinson. We gave the world Junior's Cheesecake. We gave the world Coney Island. We gave the world Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And we gave the world Al. Sharpton. So we're thankful for Al Sharpton. Now, it's been a big week. Washington, D.C. is a magical institution. It's the institution that the framers designed to be the closest to the people, to reflect the hopes, the anxieties, and the passions of the people. And I believe no one does it better than House Democrats because we reflect the people of the people. You know, 10 years ago when I got to the House, and I'm proud, I grew up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church. I went from the Cradle Roll Department to the United States Congress. And so I'm thankful for Reverend Lacey, who preached the word on today. I get to the House, and Charlie Rangel, Maxine Waters, so many legendary members of the House, Jim Clyburn. It's that first day I'm so excited, I gotta be honest, y'all. I was tempted to go to the front of the chamber, stand in the well in front of the microphone and simply say, holla. But I was tempted to do 10 years ago, but then I thought to myself, I said, if I do that, I might just hear the voice of Shirley Chisholm. Y'all know I represent many parts of the district that she used to represent. I figured if I did that, I might just hear the voice of Shirley Chisholm calling down from heaven, saying, young man, we sent you to Congress to stand up. Don't go down there and act up. And for the last 5 terms, inspired by those around me, those upon whose shoulders I stand, inspired by the work that Reverend Sharpton and all of you do at NAM, I've been working hard to stand up. Stand up for the communities that I'm privileged to represent. Stand up for social justice and economic justice, for criminal justice reform. Stand up for working families, middle class folks, those who aspire to be part of the middle class, young people, seniors, immigrants, veterans. Stand up for the poor, the sick, the afflicted, the least, the lost, and the left behind. At our best, that's what House Democrats do. We stand up for the people. That's not a slogan, y'all. It's a way of life. It's what to prove it. Under the great leadership of President Biden and Speaker Pelosi, a legendary speaker, heroic speaker, and our very own Chuck Schumer, Democrats in the House and the Senate. He's also from Brooklyn, y'all. Under the work of these folks, led by our president, we've got the track for the people. Passed the American Rescue Plan, saved the economy, put shots in arms, money in pockets, kids back in school. But we didn't stop there. Then we passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which will create millions of good tunnels, our airports, our water and sewer system, our mass transportation system, ensure that, and make sure there's high-speed internet all across the land. But we didn't stop there. We passed gun safety legislation for the first time in 30 years that will save lives. And we know here in New York City, in Harlem, back at home in Bed-Stuy, East New York, the West End of Coney Island, and the South Bronx, Southeast Queens, the guns that are used to commit crime, they're not initially purchased here. They're not manufactured in New York City or New York State. In fact, they come up the Iron Pipeline, I-95. Yes, sir. And these weapons of death make their way into gun safety legislation. We made gun trafficking a federal crime for the first time in American history to help stop the flood of guns into our communities. But then we didn't stop there. We passed the CHIPS and Science Act to bring domestic manufacturing jobs back home to the United States of America, as opposed to our jobs being shipped in the other direction. And then we topped off this string of incredible legislative success on your behalf, trajectory forward. Lower energy costs, strengthen the Affordable Care Act, lower health care costs, and drive down the high price of life-saving prescription drugs for millions of Americans in a whole lot of areas, including dealing with the fact that for far too long, the average American family has spent, on average, $4,000 a year on insulin. $5 a month. String of legislative court. The D in Democrat stands for deliver. Let's be clear. And so we put people over politics. But we know, of course, but I'm looking forward to working with all of my colleagues in the House, all of my country that provides for the poor, works for working families, makes sense for the middle class, and stands up. The country with liberty and justice for all, equal protection under the law, free and fair elections, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. These are values that we want to bring to life as we fight to make life better for all of you, for everyday Americans in every corner of the land. And so I'm thankful for your support, for your love, for your prayers as we enter this new chapter on your behalf, on behalf of our great country, where I'm going to continue every day, every week, every month, every year that I have the opportunity to serve you, to fight for lower costs, fight for better paying jobs, fight for safer communities, defend our democracy, fight for freedom, protect the public interest, ensure America, and fight to pass the John Robert Lewis Freedom to Vote Act so we can end the era of voter suppression here in America once and for all. And lastly, with your support, in 2 years, we're going to take back control of the United States House of Representatives. God bless you. God bless man. God bless the United States of America.
Chairman Hakeem Jeffries. Assemblywoman Inez Dickens wants to give a presentation for you.
Thank you so much. This is to the loudmouth. Give it up for the loudmouth. You know, I'm going to ask my Senator Cordell Clear, come on up, and come on up, Eddie, Assemblymember Eddie Gibbs. This is from the Harlem electeds, because you, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, may be the minority leader in the House of Representatives, but here you're the majority leader. And you were doing a lot of popping here about the first from Brooklyn, by the way. Yeah. You know, you did a lot of that. But I want you to know that although Brooklyn may have given you Revend Sharpton, Harlem has Ashley and Dominique. Harlem has Adam Clayton Powell. Adam has Charlie Rangel. Harlem has the very first black woman to sit in the Assembly of the State of New York. Bessie Buchanan came from Harlem. And Harlem has Inez Dickens. And Paula and Sylvia, since you talked about juniors. So come on up. Harlem wants to be the first to give you a Harlem check to support you. Now, Reverend Sharpton, where are you? Come on up, Doc. Come on up, because I know he's going to call me up tomorrow and say, well, we serving breakfast, you know, and dinner on Christmas. I know I'm going to hear that from him. Yeah, you know, but today we're going to take care of this man. And so we're going to present him with the Harlem's first check in order to get him started from Harlem with a Harlem push up, push out, and push forward. This is for Hakeem Jeffries and his win.
Let me say, given that time that they've changed the rules now, the chair of the caucus chooses the head of the DCC. And so he's got a lot of decisions to make. Let me also say this, one of the things, and I think our Vice President of local chapter, Brother Ponder, said it. One of the other things that I'm very happy about is I got a call early yesterday morning, and it was finally announced in mid-morning that we have seen the return home of Brittany Griner. I remember, and I know all of you and Nan remember earlier this year, I got a call from her wife, Sherelle, said that nobody's talking about Brittany and that she's still there and it seems like she's been forgotten. And I went on my Fox Station show that night and started talking about Brittany and offered to go to Moscow in a clergy visit. I got more calls from people telling me, you better not go to Russia. And one of Hakeem's Republican colleagues, I happened to be in Washington, said to me, Reverend Al, you know, you might get out if you go over there because they might say, good, we'll keep him and let her go. But I wasn't worried about that because Jemani Williams would have come over and got me out. political pawn of Vladimir Putin. The timing of them taking her, the timing was right as they were getting ready to make their move on Ukraine. And don't forget now, Brittany was playing for a Russian women's basketball team for years. And the paper that she used because of her own injuries was nothing new. She'd been going in and out of Russia for years. And they grabbed her on some crap that they knew was frivolous because they wanted to use her as some political leverage. The basketball team members, girls, testified at her trial. But don't forget, the reason she was going to Russia is they will not pay women athletes here the same as they pay the NBA players. If it was equal pay for the WNBA, Brittany wouldn't have been going to Russia in the first place. But I'm glad, and we went and talked with Secretary Blinken, President Biden, and President Biden said that he was going to make this a priority. And every time I talked to the president or saw him, even if we were on other issues, he would say, I haven't forgotten Brittany, Al, we on it. And then they called yesterday and said they're going to announce in a little while she's on her way home, Reverend. And Sherelle was brought to Washington thinking she was getting a briefing. And they put on the phone and let her know from the Oval Office that your wife is on the way home. Thank God for the freedom of Brittany Griner. Now, I heard some right-wingers say that it was not a fair exchange because they let a guy go that they say is an arms dealer for a basketball player. First of all, you need to get your values in order. I grew up feeling that you're supposed to not be taught, rather. You're not supposed to leave no Americans behind. And you do what you have to do to bring Americans home. Secondly, the arms dealer was toward the end of his term in prison anyway and was going to be released in a few years. But thirdly, is since when are you all have such a high bar when y'all support a man that wants to change the U.S. Constitution to reinstate himself as President of the United States, and where y'all want to disrupt elections and want to call losers winners and winners losers. We cannot have two different sets of rules in the country, and you cannot say one thing out of one side of your mouth and something else out of the other. Let's hear from our senator here in Harlem, Senator Cordell Clear.
Yeah, that's all right, but I'll speak again. Good morning, Nan, again. This is an exciting day, and I'm so happy. I think it's something that the Congressman said, and it reminds me of the fact that none of us, I gotta emphasize that point, can work alone. We need partners. We need you. We have to fight more than ever. And I'm glad that the point was raised that women do have to get equal pay. There is so much. Come on, please. We got to give it up for that on every level, in every arena. We have to make sure that justice comes to all of us. Right now, there's inequities in housing. We have to talk about that because we have a homeless crisis in our community, and we have people who are in homes who are struggling to stay there. So I'm just glad that I'm going back to Albany. So that these are the things that I can fight for. All right. All right. I'm glad that I'm going back to Albany with these colleagues because those are the things that we have to continue to fight for in our community. Racism does look different. We have to continue the conversation about reparations. Come on. We have to also continue to remind people that black people are oppressed. And don't be afraid to say the word black. I'm black. Okay? There are other people who are oppressed as well, but black people are oppressed, and we have to keep on pushing that issue and keep pushing that point. Thank you.
Let's hear from our national board member, former Bronxborough President Revend AL.
Good morning. Good morning, family. I am in front of you as a recovering politician. First of all, let me just say that we are so proud of our loudmouth. And we want to congratulate the Revend AL Sharpton. I want to thank you for using your God's given bullhorn for not just the black community, but also for the Latino community. It was there in Vieques when Reverend Sharpton used his loud mouth to address an injustice. Many of you protested. Sharpton always says he got the short end of the stick where he did the most amount of time than the other Latinos. But we thank you for being our loudmouth as well. We thank you for being our loudmouth with Anthony Baez. We thank you for being our loudmouth with Hilton Vega. We thank you for being our loudmouth for the Boogie Down Bronx. And I know that Hakeem Jeffrey said Brooklyn gave you all the things that it given you, but the Boogie Down Bronx gave you hip hop. Hold on. As a recovering politician, I'm proud to say that God is good to me. God is using me in so many different areas. I am busy, I am happy, I'm at peace. With that said, I sit on several boards. I sit on the board of Actum with your sister, Rachel Norlinger. I sit on the Hip Hop Museum. The new Hip Hop Museum is going to be built right across the bridge. And I am the reminder, as a board member of NAN, that if you dance salsa, merengue, bomba, la plena, bachata, that we all do so with African instruments. I'm a reminder that we all need to stop fronting as if we're all not in this all together. If you know who my dad is, walking around with that cowboy hat, he's very dark-skinned. And so we are all in this together. And let me just say something about my brother Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries and I started out with other young bucks like our speaker, Carl Hastie. And to quote Biggie, I remember when it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Hakeem Jeffries is the Steph Curry of politics. Hakeem Jeffries is a code switcher. Hakeem Jeffries can quote bars with the best hip-hop artists and then go and negotiate policy with POTUS in the White House. We love Hakeem and we're happy not because he's a black man, but you gotta understand that he is a husband. He is a father. He is a prime example of everything that we're looking for, not just in our elected officials, but in our black and brown men across the United States of America. My two sons, his two sons, and so many other are now, with the position that he has, will be able to see a real example of a true hero, somebody who's unassuming, somebody who knows how to articulate himself, somebody who understands the power of words, someone who has litigated the industrial prison complex, somebody who's litigated and has shown America when it is wrong, like what he did in the press conference after Eric Gardner. He's been there fighting for Latinos, fighting for seniors, fighting for everything. And ladies and gentlemen, in the words of the philosopher Salt and Pepper, when I speak about Hakeem Jeffries, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man. just say this. What makes him so great is two words: his perspective. We've had people of color. We've had people who are not of color in positions of power. We've had them say the right things and defend us on the right, and they were right on the issues. But oftentimes, what we don't have is somebody who checks all the boxes, including the fact that from their perspective is ours. They've come from where we come from. They've walked our walk. They live where we live. They experience what we experience, and that makes all of the difference. Hakeem, I love you. God bless you. And we know that great things with you are yet to come. Thank you all. Happy holidays.
Revend Diaz. I had to look when he said that Hakeem was the Steph Curry of politics. I thought he was doing one of them light-skinned thing on us. I'm glad you cleaned that up. Let me hear a few words from our public advocate, then I'm going to give our message. From Jamani Williams, our public advocate.
Peace, blessing, love, and light, man. How's it, Justice? How you doing? I gotta say, Brother Ruben, the Bronx did birth hip-hop, but Brooklyn raised it. So I just gotta... I'm excited to be here. It probably doesn't happen to Hakeem as much as it does to me, but people confuse us a lot because I think they just think some weird African name and they just call it out. So I get called. But my favorite thing that happened was about a month ago. They looked at me and said, "Oh, there go Hakeem Jefferson." They just made something up. Like they made up another name, but let's say Kareem Jefferson. They go Kareem Jefferson. They just made it up. But I'm very proud to be here with all of my colleagues. Look at all this melanin on the stage. There's a lot of melanin on the stage. It's so awesome. I remember, I think it was 15, 20 years ago, a young white lady I worked with named Rose Sarger asked me to come hand out some lit. I'd never handed out lit for a political campaign before, but it was a young, light-skinned dude who was running for assembly, and his name was Hakeem Jefferson. But it's awesome to see so many people move forward. I was really young, so I was looking up to this young man who was running, and it showed that people can do some awesome things, and people who came from where I came from could do some awesome things. So I've never told you, but thank you. That was a very inspiration to be able to hand out some lit for somebody that kind of looked like me and came from where I came from. But this is an awesome time in our city, in our state, and in our country, because we are having more and more people with melanin representing in some powerful places. And we may not always agree on every policy and every politics. I don't know if we agree on our top 5, but we do agree that people who are melanated need some help for a very, very long time. And so we may not always be on the same page, but we should always be together. We should always be moving in direction and make sure our people are well represented. We have a black mayor, we got a black speaker in the council, we got a black public advocate, we got the speaker in the assembly, we have the majority leader in the Senate. We have the minority. This is some crazy stuff. The minority leader is from Brooklyn and he's black. That's dope. So this is an awesome time. I'm just so proud to be a very, very small part of it. But I do want to say, I know what the people are saying. What are we going to do with it? Now that we have it. So Brother Hakeem and everybody else. And thank you for letting people know that loudmouth is not a bad word. So everybody who's called loudmouth, can I say, yup? But Brother Hakeem and everybody, let's show them what we're going to do with it. Peace and blessings, everybody. Love and light to you all. Thank you so much.
I said on the Thanksgiving Day that with all of this power that blacks now have, that Adam Clayton Powell and Eulin Jack could have never dreamed of, We have a black lieutenant governor. We have a black U.S. attorney in the Western District, Southern District, Eastern District. We have a black that is the Speaker of the New York State Assembly. We have a black majority leader of the New York State Senate. We have a black New York State Attorney General, black DA in the Bronx and in Manhattan, black public advocate, black mayor, black police commissioner, and now a black minority leader in the House of Representatives. With all of this power, we got to be able to have a summit. I'm calling a summit, Charlie Ray. To sit down in the room and say you did not get there by yourself. That we must take care of the people that empowered you. This is not about your career, it's about your community. Don't ever forget the price that was paid. And that's why I salute Hakeem. He never forgot that. Don't ever forget that when Bill Dawson was the first black to go to Congress after Reconstruction, and then Adam Clayton Powell came 2 years later, they couldn't even use the barber shop in the Capitol building. Yet they kept building. And here we are now with 58 blacks in Congress, 3 blacks in the Senate. But if we don't get anything done, it won't matter. It is not about putting people in high places. It's about people getting in high places that know where they come from. That's why Hakeem is here. Hakeem said, I'm going where the people that were with me when I was not in a high place. Bible said that much is given, much is required. And the reason why a lot of people, President Gibson, Browns also gave us Vanessa. Gibson to y'all left. The reason why a lot of people don't survive in high places is you will not do what is required in high places. I remember when I was about 20 years old, James Brown, like a father, he would take me sometimes out on the road with him, help. He'd give money to our youth movement. He took me to Las Vegas. I want to say this for Hakeem so y'all are getting this right. Got to Vegas and I'd never been to Las Vegas. I'm seeing all these lights and the strip and all that. And we was headed to his show. And he said, look out there, Reverend. I looked. He said, that's what they call the lounge. I said, okay. He said that's where people smoke, and there times you can smoke inside the hotel. You smoke, drink, and they have a lounge act that entertains. And they got to do all kind of bizarre stuff, crazy stuff, Mike McCure, because nobody paying them attention. He said, but where we going is the showroom. People pay $100 a seat. They pay more now. He said, and you got to have a perfected show in the showroom because you're entertaining people that paid top dollar to see you perform. He said, don't ever be a lounge act on the showroom stage. What you did to get attention in the lounge won't work in the showroom. We've sent Hakeem to the showroom. Don't expect him to do a lounge act. Don't ask him to cut up and act up. He's gonna have to deal with some folk on the other side of the aisle, but it won't bother us because we sending you our showroom act. We sending you the best that we got that can match you intellectually, that can match you in temperament, that can match you in the negotiation, he has been prepared to play in the big room. We do not need a heckler to be sitting up in the Oval Office negotiating second chance. We need a legislator and a negotiator. And the reason you got confused is we confuse roles. I remember we was on trial for something, a day outrage or something. There's about 200 people in the courtroom. The judge called the list of defendants. Al Sharpton. I stood up. 3 ladies jumped up in the back. No justice, no police. Shut up, Your Honor. I said, hold it. I said, when they call your name, you get up and say whatever you want. But as long as they call my name, you sit there and shut up and respect this judge. We don't need to expect Hakeem to be a heckler. We expect him to be a leader with the backing of all of us all over this country. But we don't expect him to be able to sit with those like Jemani and Eric and in his home state and come up with a collective agenda that will help us deal with crime and police reform, deal with how we deal with housing and these other situations. We are smart enough to figure this out. And we may not agree on the top 5 things, but if we can agree on the 10th thing, let's have them together. Our people are hurting. All people. And let me tell you this, if the right wing gets back in power, and they're on their way to try to do that, let me tell you something, I'm glad that Warnock won, but it shouldn't have been that close. Herschel was a good athlete, but Herschel did not qualify to be in the Senate. Jemani, I told them, I talked to Herschel once, and they would tell me Herschel wasn't that smart. And I told them, Herschel gotta be all right. I mean, they said, no, so I said, Herschel, I'm gonna ask you 3 real simple questions. He said, what is that? I said, old MacDonald had a what? He said, farm. Don't ask me nothing that crazy, Reverend. I said, and on his farm they had a what? Cow. I said, all right, spell it. He said, E-I-E-I-O. I can joke about him because the race is over, so that ain't partisan. But the other thing that I want to say, and I'll close on this, is don't ever forget, before we had even the right to vote, what gave us our strength was our faith. And one of the reasons that I'm not worried about this brother Hakeem Jeffries is because he's a man of faith. Faith is what brought us through when there was nobody on our side. When our forefathers had to work from sun up to sundown, they never could break their faith. They'd be in the cotton fields singing gospel songs. They would be laboring with no wages, saying that God will make a way somehow. And I believe somewhere of decades ago, they believed the day would come that if we kept on fighting and kept believing that God would make a way,